Good morning. We ordinarily, when we talk of any nation's growth, any nation's progress, we go by the GDP, that's the gross domestic product. But is GDP the deciding factor for the real growth of the country? Yes, it does show that the country is growing. Yes, it does show that the wealth is increasing. But is the accumulation of wealth a sign of the growth of the country? Imagine a country like India where the GDP is growing and the growth is 6, 7, 8, 9%. But 270 million people cannot have 2 meals a day. Agree that the things are changing slowly, but they are changing the way up to down. So, we no longer talk of GDP as the deciding factor, we talk of the inclusive economy. You see, the slow growth and the rising inequality of the people has reached a tipping point in the world's advanced economies. And inclusive growth is a concept that is clearly demarcating that the advances equitable opportunity for everybody, for all the economic participants during a period of economic growth, so that every section gets the similar advantages. You know, this time in Davos, they discussed the strategies for putting together the vicious cycle of stagnation and polarization that is increasing. Imagine in Canada, when the new year starts, by 11:30, more than 100 CEOs have earned more than an ordinary worker earns in his lifetime. In India, it is a few families who have more than 80% of the Indian wealth. In the world as a whole, 1% control 90% of the world wealth. So is that growth? You know, there's a poem which reads, "Ill fares a land where hastening ill a prey, where wealth accumulates and men decay." You know, the concept till now has been that the growth will trickle down from the top to the bottom and to the most disadvantaged persons. That is fundamentally wrong. We have to invest in making our economies more equitable from bottoms up. Now, equity and critical growth are critical for any inclusive economy. Important too is who participates in the economy, whether it's workers or consumers or business owners. The growth has to be sustainable and permanent, enduring for each one of them. You cannot say that who cares for the customer? Customer will buy whatever is offered to him. No. Customer is the ultimate arbiter and decider. So are the workers, so are the executives, and so are the entrepreneurs. Unfortunately, our system of returns is lexical, lopsided. Now, inclusive economy is one where expanded opportunities for broadly sharing prosperities, especially for those facing the greatest barrier, are provided. How do you break the vicious circle? This was one of my discussions with the financial experts of a couple of countries about a week back. We cannot just increase our GDP to the extent that the top line performance cascades down to the poorest of the poor. Education, infrastructure, ethics, investment, entrepreneurship, and social protection are some of the factors that go and decide the inclusiveness of economy. Now the point is that which are the economies which are inclusive today? Each one of us knows that the growth economies are there. The largest economy, United States, closely followed by China, Japan, India, and India might overtake Japan shortly. England, then G20, all members of that. But do they have each one of them? I assure you Canada is not one of them. China is not one of them. India is certainly not one of them. So which are the countries? The exclusive economies are extremely good. And you'll be shocked that the best country today having the most inclusive economy is Norway, with its high and rising living standards, effective social protection and low inequality, high degree of social mobility, practically no unemployment, and a sizable share for women in the labor force, sound parental leave policies, affordable childcare, and that is a country which tops IDI, Inclusive Development Index. You might be thinking that the next countries would automatically be other Scandinavian countries. No. It's a small country, Luxembourg, in Europe. And then comes Switzerland. They are the second and the third as far as inclusive economies are concerned. There's robust growth, there's employment, and mind you, the growth is not the way the growth is in China and India. It is a growth of everybody. Now imagine a country having 2% growth or 1% growth, but 1% growth is growth of even the poorest. So high median standards of living are there, environmental stewardship is there, and a low public debt is there. USA doesn't come in because USA has trillions of dollars of public debt. And the fourth place goes to my country, which is a favorite of mine, which is environmentally the best country in the world, having no fossil fuel usage at all. And that is Iceland. This country, small country, along with New Zealand and Israel, for the last 5 years, is showing the greatest improvement that can ever be seen in any other country. Of course, I need not mention that following these countries are the Scandinavian countries, Denmark, Sweden, Norway, and then comes New Zealand and Australia. Last is Austria. Now, one point which does worry me, why is it that barring New Zealand and Australia, New Zealand, which is number 9, and Australia, which is number 8, balance of the top 10 countries belong to North Europe? Is it the same reason that the refugees are going there, attracted by the benefits of the inclusive growth? You know, honey attracts flies. Let's not forget that. So when the honey is there, all the flies, insects, drones will be attracted there. So the attraction of the refugees is not something exceptional, not something that would not be there. The point is that if Europe can have it, why cannot countries like India, China, the growing economies, even Pakistan, because there's going to be the fifth largest economy by 2030, as thought by the economic pundits, and most importantly, USA and Canada. USA and Canada pride themselves on being inclusive, and their economy is the most uninclusive. As I told you, in Canada, 100 CEOs earn in the first 3.5 hours of the first working day of the year. Not even the working day, on the first day of the new year. In 3.5 hours, they earn more than you or an average Canadian earns in the whole year. Now, this sort of inequality is absurd. Can you believe in India? Mukesh Ambani can live in a 20-story house having his own helipad, 7 stories of parking space for 3 people. And that 20-story building, from the top or from even the 8th floor, you can see the biggest slum of, not the biggest, one of the biggest, are the 5th largest, biggest slum of the world, Dharavi. You remember once I had talked about slums, and I had said that Pakistan leads for having the largest slum in the world, near Karachi. So I don't want to take away the credit from Karachi and give it to Mumbai. But my point is that here's a country which calls itself poised for growth. Here is a country which prides itself on 7 and 8% of the growth. But why that 7 and 8% is not going to a poor woman in a small village in Bihar, or a tribal living in Bastar, or a tribe in Andaman? Why is it that the people in Punjab can burn millions of rupees in drugs, but the labor coming from Bihar is exploited? Why is it that on the one side, having a living standard which is enviable anywhere in the world, and on the other we see people in tatters, unwept, but weeping all the time. Nobody weeps for them. Unwashed, hungry, and even thirsty. I've seen during my last visit young boys with eyes of hunger and ready to lick the leaves thrown by the wayside vendors of food. What the hell is the government doing to make those marginalized sections of society have a human life? I don't deny it. Conditions are no better in Canada. Because you have the soup kitchens, or because you have the welfare and the shelters, do you think you are providing them the basic amenities which are their right? Look at the indigenous Indians do not get even pure drinking water. And Canada is number 1 in the water supply. Why is it that we have not been able to have inclusive economy We have inclusive political system. We say diversity is our greatest strength. And we fail when the economy is concerned. The same is true of USA. I hope President Trump does something better. But when I look at the world as a whole, barring these 10 countries, there's not a single country which can say that they're really striving for inclusive economy, even England. With all its schemes, with all its national health, which they preen about and talk about and are proud of, the economy is not inclusive. You see, there is a room for improvement in each economy. Can you believe it? 77% of the economy is globally and suffer from intergenerational inequity. And you know, another thing amazes me. While countries like Canada, USA, China, India are not doing anything worthwhile to have inclusive economy, there are small countries like Lithuania, Azerbaijan, Lesotho, Nepal, and Georgia, which in the last 5 years since 2011 have improved their performance in inclusive economies. If Nepal can do it, why can't India do it? If Lesotho in Africa can do it, why not Canada in North America do it? If Lithuania, a backward state in Eastern Europe, formerly a part of Soviet Russia, can do it, or Azerbaijan can do it, which is absolutely desolate, why can't China do it and USA do it? That is my challenge to these so-called economic giants. Wake up. Let your economic system be inclusive. And in case your economic system is inclusive, political system shall follow it. Don't stress the political inclusiveness. Stress on the economic inclusiveness. That is a need. Mr. Trudeau, Mr. Trump, Mr. Modi, President Xi, wake up. Before the downtrodden classes say, okay, you want to give us political inclusiveness, we'll seize the power and throw you on the dung heap. Save yourself and save your country. Strive for economic inclusiveness. Strive for inclusive economies and the growth of inclusive economies. That is a way not only would you survive, but make your people great. Thank you.